Any proposal to amend or revise the Constitution must identify the provisions being changed, containing their full text, but most importantly, must be forthcoming on the impact, effect, and true intention behind the proposed changes. Only then can they be presented for approval to the people, our sovereign, from whom all powers emanate. The proposal subject of the People's Initiative could have led, or could lead, rather, to a constitutional crisis, destabilizing our bicameralism and upsetting the systems of checks and balances. While the Senate is vehemently opposed to a dilution of its participation in the task of reviewing the Constitution, we exercised all restraint because in any conflict, it is always the people who stand to suffer the most. For this reason, I, together with the leadership, Senate President Pro Temp Loren Legarda, met with President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and the leadership of the House of Representatives on January 11 before Divan de Honor in order to raise concerns on the proposed amendment contained in the People's Initiative. The President agreed with us that the proposal was too divisive and asked the Senate to instead take the lead in reviewing the economic provisions of the Constitution. In this way, we can preserve our bicameral nature of legislation. While the Constitution must be reviewed in keeping with the demands of the present and possibilities of the future, we believe that we must first exhaust all avenues open to us through policy making and legislation. That is precisely what the Senate did when we enacted amendments to the Public Services Act and liberalized many industries to attract foreign investments, encourage competition, and improve the delivery of basic services to our countrymen. The Senate stands firm behind the Public Services Act as a landmark piece of legislation that reforms our economic landscape. We, however, and I'd like to repeat, we, however, recognize that the case assailing the Constitution of Republic Act number 11659, or the amendments to the Public Services Act, is currently pending before the Supreme Court. As such, the Senate commits that it will work with the House of Representatives to remove all doubts on the constitutionality of the law by ensuring that the liberalized policies contained in the Public Services Act can be implemented and relied on by investors as an enduring policy. It is only in this respect the Senate can agree to modify the Constitution. The framers of the Constitution deliberately ensured that modifying it will be an arduous process, never to be taken lightly. We wish to assure the people that in reviewing the economic provisions of the Constitution, we will be circumspect. We are guided by the knowledge that our sovereign is watching, and that the work we should do represents no interest other than the people's interest. The complaints of some of the investors. The question first asked is, do we need to amend the Constitution, right? So now, we feel in the Senate that after passing the Public Services Act, hindi na po kailangan amendahan yung ating provision when it comes to economic amendments. Unfortunately, may pending case sa Supreme Court, marami po nag-file. So anong nangyayari daw, maraming natatakot pumasok sa bansa dahil maski na meron na po tayong batas, wala pong TRO, but what if after 1 or 2 years, the Supreme Court declares it unconstitutional? And once the Supreme Court declares it unconstitutional, paano daw nila babalik sa 60-40 yung kanilang mga investments? So may rason. No? May mga mabibigat din na rason. And that's why we are open with the leadership of the Senate. We had several meetings with the senators after. We are open to discussions on the amendment of the Constitution on these particular provisions. But we are going to do it separately, voting separately. And that is why we have prepared a resolution now signed by myself, Senator Loren Legarda, and Senator Sani Angara, on the economic provisions, amendments of the economic provisions of the Constitution. So with this, we had asked the majority members had asked Senator Sani Angara to lead a subcommittee on the Committee on Constitutional Amendments to tackle this particular issue. I raised the alarm about the People's Initiative. He was very gracious enough to meet with me, and we discussed how we can diffuse the situation. In fairness to the President, hindi niya po alam yung People's Initiative language was to diminish the powers of the Senate. And after that, he asked me to meet with the Speaker. We met with the Speaker. I met with him on Tuesday evening, after which we had lively and vigorous debate on the issue. And we all decided to meet with the President once again at 3 p.m. in Malacanang last Thursday. In that meeting, we were there early, so we met together with Senator Lauren Legarda. Kasama po namin si Congressman Sandro Marcos, Sap Anton Lagdameo, and the Speaker and myself. In that meeting, we discussed the scenarios. And of course, I defended the position of the Senate na talagang malabo yan kasi as far as we're concerned, their plan is unconstitutional because we are a bicameral system of government. Kaya, nung pagkita po natin kay Presidente, we decided, the President, first of all, and I'd like to thank the President for his comment that the PI is too divisive, and even mentioned news items from the major networks that he watched the night before. At sabi, nagkakagulo na, bakit nagkakaganyan, may bayaran, and he even said na, and I thank the President for this, because he even said na, dati ako senador. Bilang dati senador, hindi din ako papayag na ma-undermine o ma-diminish ang kapangyarihan ng Senado sa pagdating ng usaping bicameralism or bicameral form of government. So maganda po ang direksyon ng Pangulo. And ang sabi niya sa akin at kay Speaker, sabi niya, why doesn't the Senate take the lead in the discussions of the economic provisions and then you approve your version which the House can adopt? So that was the position of the President. Para hindi na tayo maglalagay pa kung ano-ano pang mga amendments na sa tingin natin ay magagalit ang taong bayan. So, that was quite clear in the meeting, and that's why in the Van de Honor, medyo smiling na po kami ng Speaker of the House at ang Presidente ng Senado because we were able to resolve that very big issue. That night, nag-meeting po kami with the senators. We had about 14 senators that met that night, and we discussed the possibilities. Nakuha ko naman po yung full support ng majority members of the Senate. We were also there. We also had a member of the minority there, Senator Risa Ontiveros. And of course, we said to her that we know their position, we will respect their position, but I'm being transparent. As the Senate President, I want to be transparent that these discussions will be taking place once the Senate resumes on January 22.
Sorry, isa pa. Sir, kasi ever since naman, di ba, divided yung Senate in terms of chacha. And parang kayo mismo nagsabi dati, sir, na pag pinush yan, hindi talaga yan mananalo dito sa Senate. But since kayo mismo, sir, yung may reso na, did you get the support of the 14 senators para pumasa po yung economic provisions chacha?
We got the support of all the senators that were there, except, of course, for the minority. The minority is non-committal. They have to see the amendments first. They want to participate in discussions and the debates. I'm talking about Senator Risa. She was the one who said na wala muna siyang may dadagdag. Although she was happy that the discussions will be moving away from the plan of the PI na ikapon kami. Happy po silang lahat na ang sinabi ng Pangulo na dapat dito na tayo sa ganitong klaseng proseso. Hindi po yung sa gusto ng people and balances that which is enshrined by the Constitution through a bicameral form of government. So, no, we need a total of 18 votes when it comes to amending. Kasi 2/3 ang 16, 3/4 is 18.
Sir, pumayag po si Speaker na mas-center lang doon sa economic provisions, yung any amendment.
Well, ang binabanggit niya palagi, dyan lang naman siya gustong mag-amend dahil sa economic provisions. According to him, officially in front of me. I don't want to put any words in the Speaker's mouth. I would rather that you ask the Speaker himself on his position on this.
Was it clear na he's speaking for the 300 members of the House of Representatives during their meeting?
Nandun din naman si Sandro. So Sandro is a senior deputy majority floor leader. And I believe the message was loud and clear. I hope that the message was loud and clear.
Sir,
So,
SP, isundan ko lang yung kay Marlon. During that meeting, was there a commitment given by Speaker Romualdez na they will not support in any other way yung PI? Because according to Pirma, they are working on the PI, in coordination with Congress.
I no longer want to fight with my colleagues in Congress. 1 week po ako hindi nakakatulog. Kaya hindi rin ako nakakasagot sa inyo dahil may inaayos po tayong gusot and we were able to get consensus from everyone, including the President. I think those questions about the Speaker should be asked to the Speaker.
Was there how can you guard the eventual proposal of other members of, for example, Senate with respect to, kasi sabi niyo nga po economic provision lang, pero syempre independent minded naman ng mga senators and some really want some political amendments.
Well, ang mangyayari dyan, my dear colleagues, when discussions on, for example, if you see the resolution that we will file today, nakapirma na kaming tatlo, if you see the resolution that we file today, it's limited to yung amendments to public services, as well as education, and as well as advertising. We got the guide from the President. I hope that the President will not be upset if I share this information. Pero si President mismo, ayaw niya ng lupa na ibigay sa foreigners. Siya mismo nagsabi, malabo yun. He said that, and I quote the President, this will give us problems in our housing program. It will increase tax rates and it will increase prices of land in the Philippines. And even cited some countries kung saan na may foreign ownership na yung mga mismong locals ay hindi na po nakaka-afford ng lupa doon at lumalabas na. Kaya na nga nagkakaroon ng Asian hate dahil may mga areas like Vancouver, Toronto, in Canada, wherein a lot of Chinese, Hong Kong nationals pumunta doon, binili lahat ng property. Yung mga Canadians na original, na lumalabas na, hindi na
Sir,
And even media, sabi niya, ayaw din niya ng media kasi kung may foreign ownership of media, baka mag-influence peddling pa yan dito on certain agendas. So ayaw din niya po yun. So we're limiting it, as far as the Senate is concerned, that Thursday night discussion, we're limiting it to the scope of the Public Services Act, education, because we feel, lahat po kami naniniwala, na bakit hindi makapasok ang Harvard dito, ang Yale, ang Stanford. Pwede naman sila mag-set up po ng eskwelahan dito. They do it in Singapore, they do it in other countries. So we should allow them para ang tumaas naman ang dekalidad ng ating edukasyon. And of course, we're limiting it to these three right now.
Sir, two more questions lang,
Yeah po.
sir.
Tapusin ko na lang si Sen.
Sorry, Marlon, sandali. Sir, so pumayag doon si Speaker na in the first place, aware si Speaker na merong ganitong resolution and he agreed na at the end of the day, they will just vote according to your version, ganun po.
That was the agreement that we had made in Malacanang on the 11th of January at 4 p.m.
Sir, last question.
So yan yung agreement po namin, and I hope all parties will agree, and we thank the President for that, because At ang totoo dyan talaga magkakaroon ng constitutional crisis. Hindi po talaga papayag. Alam mo, lahat ng mga kasamahan ko, atat na umatake. At sabi ko sa kanila, pag lumaban tayo, there's a point of no return. Kasi kung magkakainitan ng dugo ang House and the Senate, paano natin may ipapasa yung mga batas natin? Eh kung ayaw mo makipag-usap sa congressman, how do we do the BICAMs, the bicameral conferences? How do we do our LEDAC? Pagkakagulo, masyado mainit. So, ang talo dyan ang taong bayan. We limit it to economic, as what we promised the President, we limit it to economic provisions, and we'll be discussing only economic provisions on this particular Senate resolution. I was in Cagayan de Oro doing some work there, and nakuha ko yung litrato, pinadala sa all members page ni Senator Chis Escudero. Yung litrato ng People's Initiative question.
Okay.
Doon ako nabulaga.
Pero sir, why did the BICAM approve nearly 12 billion increase sa COMELEC budget under plebiscite planned this year when in fact, wala naman tayong gaanong scheduled plebiscite for this year?
Well, we were told that that budget was for purchasing of machines. Kasi wala na yung Smartmatic, di ba? Disqualified sila. So, akala po natin para sa election ng 2025 yun. Kasi kailangan mo ng at least 1 year before bago mo bilhin yung machines. Di ba? Kasi election na eh. Pagdating ng 2025, you only have 4 months to go before elections. So we thought it was the preparations for the 2025 elections. But remember that it didn't come from us. Hindi galing wala sa NEP yan, wala sa GAA. Hindi kami nagpo-post yan. So that's supposed to be for elections of 2025. And I believe sa Chairman George Garcia naglabas na ng pahayag today or kahapon or today, rather this morning, nagagamitin daw nila yan for the 2025 elections. The President maintained this position that this is divisive. The President maintained that position. I hope that the people who are listening will be able to get that the body language of the President. On stopping the move, well, I don't want to. Let's ask the Speaker and his lieutenants in the House of Representatives, all those who have spoken out, because according to the Speaker in that meeting, moot and academic na daw yung PI kung pag-usapan daw natin dito sa Senado itong economic provisions. Kung totoo lang economic provisions lang gusto nila, only economic provisions. So, sabi ni Speaker, moot and academic daw yun. But I'd rather that you ask him what his opinion after we file this today and after the reading of my statement.
Even sir, sa